Lines with Figile Lingwati.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Good day. Amnesty International has accused Tanzanian authorities of ramping up crackdowns on opposition figures, journalists and civil society, restricting free speech, assembly and political participation. This as the country gears up for the general elections on the 29th of this month. The general elections are expected to be dominated by the ruling Chama cha Mapinduzi party, with the two main opposition presidential candidates locked out from contesting. Regional researcher for East Africa with Amnesty International, Ronald Ibole.
Government critics have been disappeared, including critics who are in the ruling party itself. Others have been killed, others have been threatened, while others have been prevented from moving around even to do their own campaigns. So we are seeing a very fearful electioneering period. We are seeing an electioneering period whereby President Samia Suluhu Hassan will only need to be declared president, but will not really be facing challenge because she has simply suppressed all the challenge that is available to contest against her.
Civil society group Stand Up South Africa is leading a march to the Union buildings in Pretoria to demand President Cyril Ramaphosa's resignation. Marchers met at the Church Square in the city centre before embarking on their action. The Tshwane Metro Police Department has advised motorists to use alternative routes because of potential traffic disruptions in the Pretoria city centre. The group's spokesperson is Kutaz Mtwentwe says they are planning more marches across the country.
We encourage people to come because it's a peaceful march and it will be a great march. This is a beginning of a rolling protest that we have to spread throughout the country in a peaceful manner. But we want President Ramaphosa to step down, not to be replaced by Paul. We don't want Paul either, to give Parliament an opportunity to elect a consensus leader amongst themselves who can do a better job in the meantime.
A person being referred to as Witness A has started to testify before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria, South Africa. The witness is one of three that will testify partially in camera from today until Wednesday. According to the Commission, the witnesses referred to as A, B and C will take the stand off camera from a remote location, but their voices will be audible. The witnesses' testimonies will detail alleged interference in the investigation of criminal cartels. The Commission is investigating allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption in the country's justice system. Advocate Lee Siegels-Ncube is leading the evidence.
Can you, for the benefit of the Commission, tell us what it is that your role was insofar as the South African Police Services?
I will start by saying that I am an investigator within the SAPS, and I am currently based at Organized Crime, which is the unit that is mandated to investigate crimes that are understood to be sophisticated and they need a certain approach in a way that they are being committed by syndicate, the organized groups. Thank you, Commissioner.
Residents of Sudan's besieged city of Al Fasher have been taking refuge in underground bunkers to try to protect themselves from drones and shells after intensifying attacks on displaced shelters, clinics and mosques. Famine-stricken Al Fasher is the Sudanese army's last holdout in the vast western region of Darfur as it battles the paramilitary rapid support forces. According to the United Nations, more than 1 million people have fled Al Fasher during an 18-month siege by the RSF. The RSF and its allies have been blamed for waves of ethnically driven violence in the Darfur during the war. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy is set to begin his prison sentence tomorrow at the Paris Santé prison. Sarkozy will begin an unprecedented 5-year prison sentence for criminal conspiracy over attempts to raise the 2007 election campaign funds from Libya. Sarkozy, who has always said he was innocent, was found guilty of criminal conspiracy over efforts by close aides to procure funds for his successful 2007 presidential bid from Libya during the rule of the late leader Muammar Gaddafi. It was the third time Sarkozy has been convicted of fraud-related charges. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Webe.
SABC News. The African perspective.
In our sports headline, Pyramids coach Krunelav Jukicic hailed his historic night for the Cairo club, winning their Total CAF Super Cup. And Karabo Miso is happy about reaching 50 overs in the ICC Cricket World Cup. I'll be back with these and other stories at the bottom of the hour.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
It is 12:06 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on DSTV's audio bouquet channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and on www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on the SABC Plus app, available on the Apple and Google Play stores. Join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook at Channel Africa, you can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 as 406 9126 hashtag Africa Update, and let us know which country you're in. And today on hashtag Africa Update Ask, opposition parties in Zimbabwe have condemned ZANU-PF's resolution to extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's term by 2 years to the year 2030. The resolution was accepted at the ruling party's 22nd Annual People's Conference in Mutare over the past weekend. Now, our question to you today is, do you think Zimbabwe is following in the steps of other African countries? And do you think it is fair for opposition parties in Zimbabwe to condemn the decision? Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 as 406 9126 hashtag Africa Update Us.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
The Madlanga Commission probing allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption in South Africa's criminal justice system will continue its hearings this week, partially in camera at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College in Pretoria, as the capital city of South Africa. Our three witnesses, who will go by the names Witness A, B and C, will take the stand off camera from a remote location, but with voices audible. These three witnesses are expected to give evidence on their experiences as detectives investigating crimes related to the alleged criminal cartels, which are at the center of the Commission's probe, as well as to delve into the attempts that have been made to interfere with these investigations. Kenny Mapanga is in Pretoria.
Witness A, B and C, those are investigators or detectives within the South African Police Services, will go into the realm of the operations of the police in terms of alleged interferences that may have taken place and the kind of experiences that they had while working on these ongoing criminal investigations into these alleged cartels operating within the country. Now, this forms part of the corroborative evidence that is part of phase 1. That is the evidence in chief that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi has laid the foundation of. Then, of course, you expect a number of those almost public or partially in-camera witnesses to come and, I guess, lay the foundation from their vantage point, if it is in harmony with Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's statement. We've seen senior members of the SAPS officials come and corroborate the evidence brought by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi. It is now the turn of those on the ground themselves to give their evidence from their vantage points as to the alleged interferences that they've dealt with and other challenges they may have experienced while working on the operations of these particular cases. We've also heard, with the PKTT being the center of this probe, the kind of challenges they faced, some officers feeling intimidated while working into these kinds of criminal investigations. Then, of course, the successes that they were making, or the advances that they were making towards their criminal investigations before they were abruptly disbanded through that 31st of December December 2024 notice made by the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, who we've heard through evidence was an unlawful decision. So this is the structure that it is following in terms of getting that initial evidence in chief. Then we expect that in the next coming weeks, they'll be able to wrap up phase 1 and then introduce phase 2 at the end of November, which is the evidence of those implicated coming to respond to those particular allegations. They've only scheduled these witnesses as per the draft order up until Wednesday, the 22nd of October. However, the Commission intends to sit for the entire week. That means that if Thursday and Friday is going to see in-camera witnesses coming into this probe, it means that a notice needs to at least go out by the end of today, because remember, there is that 72-hour notice that they have to give the public before they bring those full in-camera witnesses, so that it gives the public an opportunity to oppose if that is the case, or for a transparent process to proceed. So if that notice doesn't go out today, then you can expect that they'll have to rejuggle witnesses in terms of phase 1 in order to accommodate the gap that will arise on Thursday and Friday should they complete witness A, B, and C by Wednesday.
That was Kenny Mapanga reporting from Pretoria. It is 12 after 12, Central African time.
Gender-based violence is destroying lives and tearing communities apart. It happens in homes, in schools, at workplaces, and too often in silence. But it doesn't have to continue. If you see it, speak out. If you are hurting, reach out. Because doing nothing is not an option. Listen to all 19 SABC radio stations from Wednesday, 23rd of July for hard talk, discussions, advice, dramas, educational shows, and interviews around GBV with experts, survivors, lawmakers, and the whole country affected by gender-based violence. For all your favorite SABC radio stations, call 0800 428 428 to report abuse or get help. GBV, it ends with you. This message is brought to you by the SABC. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
Opposition parties in Zimbabwe have condemned ZANU-PF's resolution to extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's term by 2 years to the year 2030. The resolution was accepted at the ruling party's 22nd Annual People's Conference in Mutare over the past weekend. Now, former Citizen Coalition for Change leader Nelson Chamisa took to social media saying that the resolutions bind ZANU-PF and her members, not Zimbabwe and her people. Our Triple C interim leader Jameson Timber says only a referendum can decide on the constitutional changes. And to speak to us further about the conference, we are joined on the line by Farai Marapira, Director for Information and Publicity for ZANU-PF. Farai, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Farai, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Now, Farai,
Okay.
just the first thing that has people talking is the resolution to extend President Mnangagwa's term. How will this work, despite the president saying that he would step down once his term was over? So why the 2-year extension?
This is simply a clamor by the membership of the party for the president to continue with the economic trajectory which we are on as a nation. And this is where the resolution is coming from. If one is to look at Zimbabwe, every sector has been growing in leaps and bounds. We are now grain self-sufficient. We were a net importer of grain. We've grown our mining exports, and we're now developing Zimbabwe into a manufacturing economy. One is to even look at infrastructural changes that have happened, the Beitbridge border post, the roads, the interchanges that we're building. There is so much even from the private sector showing the confidence that they have with this current stability which we're enjoying under President Mnangagwa. So this is what has propelled the membership of ZANU-PF to say that they wish for the president to extend his term to 2030.
Now, what were some of the key highlights from the conference?
Some of the key highlights were the issues of this resolution, number one, which you've asked me on, and the issue of techniques and methods with which we're going to be connecting our youth to this growing economy. The youth are the drivers of any economy, and it is imperative for the party that we start connecting the youth to the economy. We start making them the drivers of the economy. As we are moving from an agri-industrial economy into a manufacturing economy, these are the custodians of old new technology, AI, and so on. So the youth should be at the forefront of developing this manufacturing industry and the beneficiation of all our local produce.
Now, when you say that the youth should be at the forefront, how are you going to do that? Is it going to be a stage by stage approach? What is the plan of action? Have you put something down and an action plan to ensure that this does happen, that the youth are empowered? Because many a times the youth are the ones who generally end up falling short.
Indeed, we have come up with measures, and in as much as this is a resolution, steps have already started taking place to ensure that the youth are connected to the agricultural industry, the youth are connected to mining. If you look at our mining industry, more than 60% of our gold exports comes from small-scale mining, and small-scale mining is in the hands of the youth. So essentially what we're doing is we're moving more and more of our youths into various sectors of the economy. You look even at agriculture, we've got a very large percentage of our agricultural produce coming from the youth themselves. So this is not something that is new, but this is something which we are extending into the emerging manufacturing industry so that we ensure that the youth keep on being the drivers of this economy that we are growing under President Mnangagwa.
Now, Farai, apart from the youth, women often bear the brunt of, difficulties. Whether apart from the youth, as I say, the women are the ones that generally lag behind, especially in different areas of industry. How are they going to be factored into this continued development of Zimbabwe?
ZANU-PF from independence has been very, very consistent on the issue of women empowerment. This started in the 80s when it became government policy for women to have equal access to education. Remember, we were entering independence in a patriarchal society which would prefer the education of the boy child over the girl child, and it was strict government policy that put an end to this. So this has extended even into politics, where we have got the women quota system, which was pushed and fronted by ZANU-PF to ensure that women have representation within the political sphere. And this is also reflected in our government, where we have got almost a 50-50 scenario with women ministers and women in senior positions of leadership in government. So this has also been part of the party policy. We have seen that concurrent to youth empowerment projects, they've been concurrent women empowerment projects. And the president is on record as saying that women are the most reliable people to empower because women always handle business professionally, and there is no majority of cases where you find that there's mismanagement of funds among the women. So we have also been empowering the women, but we remain focused on ensuring that the youth, by being connected to the economy, become the custodians of the economy in the future. So we keep on renewing and connecting the youth as our economy grows and as our economy progresses. We find ways in which we ensure that our people become the main custodians of the economy.
Now, the conference, Farai, directed that both the party and government put in place the necessary legal, constitutional and administrative measures. Now, when is this expected to be put in place, and who will be leading that process?
The government is a ZANU-PF-led government, so by extension, when we come up with these resolutions, government is mandated to ensure that these resolutions are enacted at law. So essentially, the president, being the head of government, then tasks his ministers to ensure that these resolutions, going relevant ministry by relevant ministry, are enacted. So when the resolutions come out, they are directed to the relevant parent ministries, and party departments then have oversight over the activities of the ministries, which is a fulfillment of our party supremacy of a government mantra.
And I can't let you go without, finding out if this did even come up. Did the issue of succession come up at any point in time? I know that it wasn't on the agenda, but anything is possible.
Succession is not yet a conversation within ZANU-PF, because right now the conversation is ensuring that our president extends his term and keeps us on this positive trajectory. We have been voted the #1 in tourist destination by Forbes. These are some of the milestones we are achieving under the president. So these are the wins that the membership of ZANU-PF want to continue. So we cannot talk of continuation and succession at the same time. These are antagonistic. These do not mix. So we will talk of succession at another time. But right now, the conversation is extending the president's term to 2030.
Farai, thank you for joining us. We'll leave it there for today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Farai Marapira, Director for Information and Publicity for ZANU-PF, joining us on the line.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
Qu'est-ce qui vous a amené à dire ça? Est-ce que vous avez observé un certain nombre d'événements dans la vie? Est-ce que c'était par rapport à une expérience? Est-ce que vous avez rencontré des choses qui vous ont dit il faut de la patience, comme ça les choses vont venir au bon moment et le bon Dieu pourra peut-être me visiter?
Oui, c'était justement un conseil que le Seigneur m'avait inspiré pour donner à son peuple, parce qu'il y a la plupart des gens, pendant que Dieu bénit les autres, ils pensent que Dieu les a oubliés, et pendant que Dieu ouvre pour les autres, ils pensent que peut-être Dieu n'a pas pu écouter leurs prières. Alors, ce n'est pas le cas. Alors, Dieu bénit tout un chacun de nous avec son temps. Donc, le temps de Dieu est toujours le meilleur dans la vie de tout un chacun de nous.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches, de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
It is 22 after 12 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. A Congolese political opponent, Seth Kikuni, was arrested when he arrived at the Njili International Airport in Kinshasa over the weekend. Kikuni reportedly had his passport confiscated and was taken by people identifying themselves as members of the National Intelligence Agency and the Military Detection of Anti-Patriot activities to an unknown destination. Now, those who were at the airport to welcome him say they have lost all contact with him. And to discuss this further, we are joined on the line by a political analyst, Didier Bayeye. Didier, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, Lulu Gaboo. How are you doing? I hope you are well. Good afternoon
to
the
listeners. I'm very
listeners.
well, thanks, Didier. I hope you're also doing well. Now, just getting straight into it, those that were waiting to welcome Kikuni back into the country say they lost all contact with him, but after what was described as an intense grilling, he was released. Why was he taken into custody and then released with no charges?
Okay, according to the intelligence in the DRC, this move to detain Seth Kikuni's passport and take him to an undisclosed area for questioning was just a normal process because of his association with the former president, Joseph Kabila. Now, there is nothing wrong. Seth Kikuni has not been interrogated or questioned as an opposition, but because of his association, because of his participation to the meeting the former president Joseph Kabila organized in the capital of Kenya, Nairobi. We all know, and then we had followed in the past months, that former President Joseph Kabila is the mastermind behind M23, behind AFC, that's killing thousands of Congolese and causing unrest in the eastern part of the DRC. And then also, according to the DRC constitution, the president mandate or terms, the constitution states that the term is renewable. It's 5 years, renewable just once. But former President Joseph Kabila stayed in power much more than that, for 18 years instead of the 10 years as stipulated in the constitution of the country. Now, within this 18 years, by now, he could have been seen as somebody who's bringing more idea towards building, constructing the country, putting the country together, bringing more peace, like we have seen with the former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta during the passing of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, being side by side with the current President William Ruto. We've seen it in many other African countries, but when he chooses and he's saying that he's creating a movement, Sauvons le Congo, let's save Congo, but how is he going to come back to save Congo? While a couple of months ago was seen, welcomed by the belligerent, the leaders of M23 movement, whom some of them arrested still by the intelligence in the DRC, people very close to them confessed that all the fundings, the support, financial support is coming from the former President Joseph Kabila. See the reason why the intelligence had to question this Kikuni for his association with Kabila, for attending and participating to the 2 days meeting which were organized in Nairobi by the former President Joseph Kabila.
So after this detention and questioning, did they manage to find out anything from Kikuni? And what did Kikuni say, if anything, after his release?
Very little's been leaked about this questioning, but we believe that it was more focused about the involvement of Joseph Kabila to the M23 and the rebel movement in the eastern part of the DRC. If anything was discussed pertaining to that during the 2 days meeting in Nairobi. And then the questioning also wanted to find out when they're saying that they're creating a movement which is let's save the DRC, how would they save the DRC? Already with the leader, a former president who's linked to the current rebel movement. So does it mean, or does it insinuate that he's trying to intensify rebellion? Does it mean he's trying to create a different arms of rebellion to come and fight the government of the DRC? What exactly was this meeting about, and then why did he go there? So we believe this were more of questioning, and then we also believe that Seth Kikuni denied or didn't give any answer confirming any discussion regarding the involvement of former President Joseph Kabila with the M23.
And, there are fears that Kikuni's arrest could be a turning point in a tense political crisis in the country. Is this a cause for concern? And is this the case?
No, I personally do not think there is a concern. First of all, Kikuni is not followed. He's not a leader of opposition. He's not a big leader. He's a name that's mentioned here and there, and a lot of Congolese people do not know who Kikuni is. He calls himself he's in opposition, but he's not a great leader at all. There are leaders of oppositions currently in the DRC that are moving free, such as Martin Fayulu is in the DRC and moving free. There is Deli Sesanga, who even is very vocal on the media, criticizing the government of the DRC, and they've never been worried or arrested or anything. So we don't really see this questioning as a threat to the DRC or to destabilizing political climate. No, not at all.
Well, Didier, it's always a pleasure chatting to you. We'll leave it there for today. That's political analyst Didier Bayeye joining us on the line. It is 12:30 Central African time, and our news headlines up next with Jwalani Tulongwepe.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Good afternoon. Making headlines, Nigerian police have fired tear gas on occupied major roads in the capital Abuja to stop demonstrations called to protest the continued detention of separatist leader Nnamdi Kanu. Amnesty International has accused Tanzanian authorities of ramping up crackdowns on opposition figures, journalists and civil society, restricting free speech, assembly and political participation. This as the country gears up for the general elections on the 29th of this month. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says that if invited, he would be ready to join Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump at the coming summit in Hungary. I will have details on these and other stories at 1 o'clock.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective. Sports. On Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
First up in our sports update, it's football news. Pyramids coach Krunoslav Djukicic hailed a historic night for the Cairo club after a 1-0 win over Morocco's RS Berkane sealed their Total Energies CAF Super Cup in the Egyptian capital on Saturday. The Croatian manager said the triumph belongs to the entire organization rather than any individual, while Berkane boss Moini Chebani pointed to injuries and absence as decisive factors in a tight final. The victory adds another piece of silverware to Pyramid's fast-growing honours list and a kept-packed evening at the 30th June Stadium. Berkane last season's Total Energies CAF Confederations Cup winners pressed for long spells but could not find a way through. Some more football news. It's Yassir Zabiri struck twice in a space of 17 first-half minutes as Morocco lifted the FIFA Under-20 World Cup with a 2-0 victory over Argentina in Santiago on Sunday. Morocco became only second African side to win the competition after Ghana in 2009 and are the first team to beat Argentina in an Under-20 World Cup final in 42 years. Man of the match, Zabiri opened the scoring on the 12th minutes before doubling the lead for Mohamed Ouabi's men in the 29th minute. Morocco never looked back the rest of the way. 6 times champions Argentina had been the overwhelming favourites, having won all 6 games leading up to Sunday's showpiece with 15 goals and 2 against. On to cricket news. South Africa's Proteas wicket batter Karabo Miso says she feels emotional about reaching her first ever 50 over in the ICC World Cup semi-final as a young star. This achievement came after the Proteas secured their spot in the semi-finals when the game between New Zealand and Pakistan was abandoned because of rain in Colombo. As a result, with 8 points from 5 matches, the Proteas cannot be caught by the White Ferns, who would still trail them on the number of wins even if they do win their final 2 group stages. Miso adds that it has been a long but rewarding journey for the senior national team.
It's like, I don't even have words. There's a lot of emotions for everyone. Let me just say that, first semis in the ODI World Cup, which is really amazing for us, like as a youngsters. I've been in T20 semis under 19, but this one really means a lot to me and the team. Yeah, it's quite a long journey and a good journey for everyone in the team.
On to motorsport. Max Verstappen claimed a dominant United States Grand Prix victory ahead of Lando Norris as the pair made significant inroads into Oscar Piastri's Drivers' Championship lead. Verstappen followed up Saturday's sprint win with a lights-to-flag triumph for Red Bull at the Circuit of the Americas, while Norris made a late pass on Ferrari's Charles Leclerc to salvage second place as his McLaren teammate Piastri toiled to 5th.
I say us, obviously, the team, people saying that
the car. It's simple as that. Of course, we put some upgrades on the car, but we understood our car a bit better, where we wanted to perform better. And every weekend we tried to achieve it. Some weekends, it's better than others, but in general, it's been way more straightforward the last few weekends compared to before those races. So that's what we need to try and extract out of it now every single weekend. Yeah, I think we need to be perfect till the end.
For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fidel Ngwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Are you fluent in French? Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili. Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
A very good afternoon. The Dangote refinery has reassured Nigerians of fuel supply amid market confusion and rising fuel prices. This follows rumours that the refinery had halted petrol sales last week, which has sent petrol prices soaring in some Nigerian states. Vice President of the Dangote Group, Devakuma Edwin, said operational issues, including outages and maintenance, had caused slowdowns in the refinery's crude processing capacity, but that the refinery still has plenty of product for marketers to come and load fuel. Edwin said the refinery has over 310 million litres of premium petrol in its tanks, apart from the production in coming out every day. The South African civil society organisation Watercan has called for the immediate resignation of the city of Tshwane Mayor Nasipi Moya. This after it was revealed that the city spent almost $45 million on water tankers in the 2024-2025 financial year. According to the organisation, the almost $45 million represents half of Joburg Water's capital expenditure budget, which could have been used to repair the city's water infrastructure. Executive Director at Watercan, Dr. Ferial Adam, has described this as a flagrant misuse of funds.
This is happening across the country. It's in Makanda, it's in Knysna, now we've got Tshwane everywhere. Joburg is a mess. So the mayor of Tshwane must resign. He must step down because 777 million, we can show you what that could have been used for in terms of infrastructure. If the buck does not stop with someone, this kind of nonsense will continue. And we have to, as civil society, start demanding that this ends. If you cannot control the money as the mayor, then you should not be in that position.
South Africa's Minister of Electricity and Energy, Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, says they'll be engaging with the tertiary institutions, specifically on engineering courses to ensure that the adequate skills are developed for the rollout of the Integrated Resource Plan 2025, aimed at resolving the country's long-standing electricity crisis and reviving the economy. The government plans to invest $127 billion in a comprehensive energy transformation strategy. The minister announced the country's pivot to cleaner energy sources and less reliance on fossil fuels. Addressing the media in Pretoria, Ramokgopa has stressed that government remains committed to creating economic opportunities.
The biggest risk to us not achieving this IRP lies in two areas. The first one is the skills pipeline. So it means that the skills that are required to support this program are in short supply, and that's why we'll be engaging with the universities and the TVETs, especially on the engineering and the built environment and the issues of nuclear. The second risk that sits here is that our industry has been decimated. If we are going to ramp up this build program, we are likely not to have an industry that is positioned to take advantage of these opportunities.
Meanwhile, the South African energy expert, Ruth Mulesha, has thrown her weight behind government's plan to install smart meters for improved customer load balancing. Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa has announced the rollout of the $127 billion Integrated Resource Plan 2025. It seeks to address the demand versus supply challenges. Ramokgopa told Parliament that illegal connections make it difficult to stop load reduction entirely within the next 12 months. He said that load reduction is necessary to protect infrastructure that is being overburdened by illegal connections. Expert Muleshe says that the installation of smart meters will help to detect energy theft.
Although this was not really addressed in detail, South Africa is looking to address the issues of non-payment of renewable energy through smart meters that will be able to identify some of those areas. It's not a foolproof solution, but it's one of the solutions on the table.
China's economic growth has slowed to its weakest pace in a year in the third quarter, matching expectations. This as a prolonged property slump and trade tensions hurt demand, keeping pressure on policymakers to roll out more stimulus to shore up momentum. According to data released today, Chinese gross domestic product grew 4.8% in July to September, slowing from 5.2% in the second quarter, which is in line with analysts' expectations for a rise of 4.8%. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,468 naira. In Botswana, it's at 13.25. Kenya, 128 shilling, 394. And in Zambia, it's at 22 kwacha 71. The BRICS countries in Brazil, the dollar there will cost you 5.40. Russia, 81 rubles 11. India, 87 rupees 98. China, 7 yuan 12. And in South Africa, the dollar will cost you 17 rand 34 cents. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Gold is trading at $4,255 and platinum $1,581 per ounce. Brent crude oil is at $61.10 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Thabiso Lohoko.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
Well, thank you to Thabiso Lohoko with our business news. It is 12:42 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Join us in conversation on our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook at Channel Africa, you can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 as 406-9126 hashtag Africa Updates, and let us know which country you're in. And if you have any stories that you'd like us to highlight or to focus on, send us an email. It is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +2711 714 4459.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
At last week's Oppenheimer Research Conference, something that caught our eye was the University of Venda's biogas projects. The project is focused on improving energy access, food security, and income for rural communities in South Africa's Limpopo province. And to speak to us further, we are joined via WhatsApp video by Tilibali Eugene Rasimpi from the University of Venda. Tilibali, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Now, break down for us the biogas projects and what it is used for.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. So basically, biogas technology, it's a technology that actually converts organic waste into usable energy, which can be used for cooking, for heating in households. And also, the interesting part is that also it provides a bioslurry, which acts as a organic fertilizer, which can be used in gardens in rural areas. So this benefit is in two ways. You get your energy, which you use for cooking and heating, and also you get the organic fertilizer, which really helps in farming. So yeah, that's what biogas technology is all about. So this process actually happens in a digester through anaerobic digestion, and after a process maybe of 30 days, 40 days, and then yeah, you get your energy which you can use in a household for cooking.
Now, tell us more about the poster of biogas that you had on display last week.
Yes, during the Oppenheimer research conference, I had an opportunity to display the work that we are currently doing around Limpopo from the University of Venda. We had a project which was funded by the United Nations Development Organization, UNIDRO, and SANEDI. So this project actually looks at training young people in rural areas to build digesters, to maintain them, and also to benefit, as I said, from the bioslurry. And but the greatest advantage is that we are actually reducing the reliance of firewood in rural households. So you actually stop using firewood and then you use biogas technology. So the poster was actually displaying the work that we are currently doing in Limpopo through the investor vendor.
Now, you've touched on other works that you are doing. Just focus on the projects, and what it means for your community in moving forward and ensuring that everyone is able to use, the biogas and the different facilities that you do set up.
Yes, the work that we are doing, really, this is a good opportunity for many rural households. Those that benefited from these projects are really excited. As the poster was showing, they were able to move from using firewood to use biogas, and also the young people who were involved in that project got opportunities through job creation. But households really they do enjoy this technology. And moving forward, really we are not stopping from Limpopo. We are not only doing in Limpopo, but the outlook is that we have to spread out throughout the country, especially in rural areas where there are serious challenges of getting access to energy, especially for cooking and heating. So through these projects, we are really looking at expanding the work that we are doing from Limpopo and to other provinces. So this is really a great opportunity. And yeah, the Oppenheimer provided that platform, to actually spread to other provinces and to other countries. So we are really aiming high, especially from these projects that we are doing.
Now, what provinces? Which provinces will be your starting point, and the other countries that you're speaking of? Where are you going to start from there?
From Limpopo, we are looking at Mpumalanga. We are also looking for partners in Lesotho. As I speak now, we are busy looking for partners in Lesotho that we can really partner and work with them. And Mpumalanga also, we are looking for partners that we can really partner with them and continue with the work.
And in terms of partnering, when you say you're looking for partners to work with, what sort of partnerships are you talking about?
This is from academic work. This is also looking at non-government organizations which are really looking into clean energy, providing clean energy to rural communities. So this really will advance the Sustainable Development Goals. So the partners we were talking about are those who are busy promoting clean energy access and around energy and agricultural activities.
Well, Tilibali, all the best and congratulations. Thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
That's Tilibali Eugene Rasimpi from the University of Venda joining us on the line. It is 12:50 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Today on hashtag Africa Update Ask, we focus on opposition parties in Zimbabwe having condemned ZANU-PF's resolution to extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's term by 2 years to the year 2030. The resolution was accepted at the ruling party's 22nd Annual People's Conference in Mutare over the past weekend. Now, our question to you today is, do you think Zimbabwe is following in the steps of other African countries? And do you think it is fair for opposition parties in Zimbabwe to condemn the decision? Share your thoughts and your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 at 406 9126. Hashtag Africa Update Us.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K,
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Tamo kutuli bwanji ndi
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. Enjoy the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
It's 12:52 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. A manhunt is underway following a robbery at the Louvre Museum in Paris, France. 9 pieces of jewelry from the Napoleon collection are believed to have been taken. The jewels are worth millions. Our French media are reporting that 3 masked men broke into the Louvre shortly after opening time on Sunday. The suspects are said to have used a goods lift to get access to the Apollo Gallery, where what remains of France's crown jewels is kept. They are said to have made off on motorbikes. Our theft expert, investigator and security practitioner Anthony Amore weighs in on the robbery.
The most important thing I heard by way of updates was that the vehicle or a vehicle that the perpetrators used was saved from being lit afire by the thieves. So it tells me, I mean, you don't have to be a detective to figure out that if they were going to burn it, then perhaps it has some forensic value. So the fact that the security forces stopped the thieves from doing that means there may be some promising evidence in the vehicle. It doesn't surprise me. It disappoints me that people still do this stuff. I know the Louvre has good security and they care about their art. No building in the world is impenetrable. So when I see these sorts of things, unless you hear that there was gross negligence involved, I don't really feel disappointed in the institution. I'm sure they did all they could. I'm sure, actually I know for a fact that this was pulled off without anybody being injured, which is the first thing to consider. So it's hard for me to point fingers at the Louvre. More than 80% of museum thefts worldwide involve some sort of inside complicity, or there could be. I mean, it seems to me that the thieves had some understanding of the Apollo Gallery, the gallery they broke into, and that it would probably be empty, even though it was 9:30 a.m. So perhaps there was some even low-level information that they were able to glean from somebody, but we won't know until investigators interview everybody. whenever you look at a major theft like this, it's important to remember that the dollar value is not important. When things are taken from museums, typically the pieces are really important parts of cultural patrimony. And in this case, it's a glaring example. I mean, these are things that belong to Napoleon and his wife, really important artifacts for the people of France. So the dollar value truly, respectfully, is irrelevant. The key question, you can't, very well take a crown with 1,000 diamonds on it and offer it for sale. But what you can do, which is far more tragic, is separate the pieces and take it apart and sell the gems as individual pieces of jewelry. Very hard to track, very easy to sell. How would anybody know that the diamond they're purchasing came from a museum? So that is really the worst case scenario. And I hope that the authorities either catch these guys before they can do that, or make some sort of overture that keeps them from doing it. If there was someone that quote unquote commissioned this act, it would also have been a criminal who thought, hey, let's steal these gems and we can make a lot of money with them. But they're not stolen typically for somebody who wants them for their collection. The one outlier to that, I would say, is oftentimes gangs will steal Chinese artifacts that were looted from China, and rich individuals in China do have an interest in them. But again, they're not commissioned to steal them. The thieves just know there could be a value back home.
That was art theft expert, investigator and security practitioner Anthony Amor ending that report. And it is that time of the day where we say happy Monday to the Upside team, and it is Lulu Gaboo. How are you today?
Cold?
I know, right? Yeah, but hey.
There's no need for this cold in this
at least it didn't
season.
snow this year. Well, so far.
So far. Yeah. And very sad for those runners in Cape Town.
In Cape Town, I saw that yesterday. But unfortunately, it is what it is. They had to make a call, because imagine if they'd gone ahead.
Fair enough.
And
yes.
something goes wrong somewhere.
I saw a couple of videos of people after the announcement,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
A couple of hours later, people went onto the streets and went to run anyway. They wore their little bibs thingies and running shoes. That was so cool.
But it's the weather. It's unpredictable.
It was the weather. Here's what's coming up on the Upside this afternoon. Our first conversation, we help students navigate property or accommodation finding in South Africa, finding a home away from home with an expert guide to look at the green flags, the red flags we need to look out for as students and as parents as well when navigating this space. And then we explore Hout Bay's booming multi-billion rand property market down in the Western Cape. And then an interesting story, giving back to the community, giving back to students. Zunaid Moti is an entrepreneur, a philanthropist. He's launching a R1 million Pay It Forward campaign and towards education or tuition. And he's giving 100 students 1,000 or 10,000 rand. Each to pay towards their tuition, and he's also calling on other companies to match his giving back and says, listen, let's give back to the communities, let's help students navigate the educational space, giving them education and ensuring that they have a brighter future. And I think it's quite a brilliant initiative.
It is a brilliant initiative
from his own pocket.
Yeah, and it's different, so hopefully a lot of companies will come on board and do the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, that's all coming up at the top of the hour on the Upside with Lebohole Kuleni and Matseko Musito. For myself, Lulu Gaboo, and the Africa Update team, that's our producer Tracy Bumgard, our technical operator Catherine Maleka, and social media Sfiso Sope and talent Butelezi. It's been a good one. Continue with us on our socials and do keep warm. Bye-bye.